This story is different because it's never been told until now. At least not to anyone other than family and close friends. And what makes this story unique is I know that it's true because I know the man that it happened to. This story comes from my best friend, Zach Hall, who is like family to me. We work together as police officers, and he has been an anchor point in my life and is actually the person who got me started on social media. Now, it's possible you know Zach, or you have heard of him, or at least seen his face because he's been everywhere. He's worked on shows like Dirty Jobs with Micro, Deadliest Catch, Sons of Winter, Expedition Bigfoot. He currently works for Mr. Beast, and you may have seen him on Mr. Beast's channel. But this is a piece of Zach's family history. This happened to his dad, who unfortunately passed away some years ago. His dad was a good man. I knew him. He passed away at a young age. But this is something that happened to him in the heart of Appalachia, eastern Kentucky in the 1970s. There's a little holler in eastern Kentucky known as Hollybush. It's pretty big. A lot of people live there. Hollybush today and Hollybush in the 1970s, two totally different places. One thing you have to know and understand about Appalachia, back years ago, these hollers didn't really have roads, at least not all the way up. Most people drove through the creek, and at the time when this happened, his dad was walking up the creek on his way home. So Zach's dad had been out on a hunting trip. He had walked down the holler and went up into the mountains on a hunting trip, and he was young. In the 1970s, I don't know, he was probably a teenager, I'm guessing. And he had spent most of the day up in the mountains doing what he enjoyed. So after a long day, I'm sure he was tired after scaling up and down the steep mountains. He come off one of the ridges, made his way back down into the creek, which would have been the road, and started walking up the holler toward his house, which I would imagine was a pretty good walk. As he's navigating the creek, stepping on wet, slippery rocks, and if you've never done that, it's hard to walk in a creek without falling. But he's tired, he wants to get home. I'm sure the sun's probably starting to go down, and he's making his way up the creek when he begins to hear something up on the side of the mountain. Now that in itself isn't very uncommon. Everywhere you look, there's deer, something to make a noise. So at first, he just didn't think about it. That's nothing out of the ordinary. It's probably a dog or a deer. So as he's just walking along, he hears this loud noise through the leaves, stepping on branches. And that's when you can start to tell the difference in like a deer and something bipedal. Because when a human steps on a stick or leaves, it makes a much different noise. So he's still walking, and he's trying to, I guess at this point, pay attention to what's up there. He's not overly concerned yet, but that would all change. Just out of nowhere, behind him just a little ways, this thing in the mountains now comes crashing down the mountain into the creek. And I'm sure it probably sounded like a mudslide or a tree falling. It was loud enough for him to stop in his tracks, turn around, and see what was there. And he did not expect to see the thing standing there. And back in the 1970s, before pop culture made Bigfoot a thing, I'm sure he had no idea what he was looking at, but standing in the creek now is a huge, hairy, bipedal creature. It wasn't an animal native to eastern Kentucky. It was something that he had never seen, and this thing was angry. You have to also think about this all happened very quickly. You're trying to process what's going on. Yeah, this guy was on a hunting trip and had some kind of weapon, but he turns around and sees this huge, scary creature who looks very angry, and it starts to come toward him. Not just walking, running toward him. He took off in a sprint, as fast as you could go in hunting boots, walking through water on slippery rocks. Even as a teenager, that's hard because I've done it myself. He's fighting the water, he's fighting the elements, and he's fighting for his life because this thing is now very aggressively charging at him. So he's sprinting up this creek for his life, all the while this thing is running behind him. Eventually, he got to the closest neighbor, thankfully. Because just as he was passing by the neighbor's house, his neighbor looked out and seen what was going on. He seen Zach's dad running for his life up the creek, and behind him just a little ways was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. And something else that he was thankful for, his neighbor just happened to have a gun, which that's not uncommon for people in the mountains, especially in the 1970s, sitting by their door. So his neighbor grabbed his weapon, fired at this thing, and Zach's dad is still running for his life. Thankfully, this gunshot was enough to stop this thing, and it turned and went back up the mountain from where it had came. I don't even think that the term Bigfoot was widely used at that point, if any at all, because it's before social media, it's before the internet. People didn't have communication like they do now. People had experiences, but they didn't know what they saw. But that day, he saw Bigfoot in Hollybush. And I wasn't there, no. But I do know this family. They're very close to me. Zach is my best friend. And I know for a fact this happened. I've known this story for as long as I've known Zach, which is well over 20 years. But he just gave me permission to share it, and I hope I did it justice, because this is something that was very important to Zach, because Zach has been on shows like I mentioned, Expedition Bigfoot, and it's carved a lane in his life to where he now investigates the paranormal and has for years. We've done it together. And you're going to see him on this channel very soon. We're going to be going out looking for Bigfoot and all sorts of spooky things in some of the most haunted locations in America. If you've ever seen Bigfoot, I want to know about it. What was your experience and where was it at? Let me know in the comments. Please smash that like button, turn on all notifications, and subscribe. That's the best way you can support me and this channel. You can also follow me over on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as The Supernatural Sleuth. If you have any kind of Bigfoot story or anything spooky you'd like to share, a picture or video, you can send me an email at thesupernaturalsleuth@gmail.com. I thank you guys so much. I pray you have a blessed day. I'll see you soon.